Survival games push players to their limits, but some take the challenge to a whole new level. Here are 15 survival games that are brutally difficult, testing your skills, patience, and determination in ways that feel even tougher than real life. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to our channel to stay updated on the best video games you need to know about. Hit that notification bell so you never miss out. Let's get into the video. The Long Dark is a survival game set in the harsh Canadian wilderness after a geomagnetic disaster. Players assume the role of Will Mackenzie, who is a bush pilot stranded in the frozen landscape and must navigate the elements to survive. The game's story unfolds through a series of episodic adventures where players encounter various challenges, including wildlife, resource scarcity, and the haunting isolation of the wilderness. What makes The Long Dark particularly hard is its unforgiving survival mechanics. Players must manage hunger, thirst, fatigue, and temperature while facing unpredictable weather conditions. With limited resources, every decision can mean life or death, whether it's choosing to explore an abandoned cabin for supplies or risking a dangerous journey to find food. The game emphasizes realism, with players able to suffer from hypothermia, frostbite, starvation, and injuries that can slow their progress. Moreover, the absence of combat-focused gameplay shifts the emphasis to survival strategy and planning, making every day an intense test of resource management and decision-making in a beautifully rendered but unforgiving environment. DayZ is a multiplayer survival game set in a post-apocalyptic world where players navigate a fictional post-Soviet state called Chernarus, ravaged by a mysterious virus that has turned most of the population into aggressive zombies. As one of the few survivors, you must scavenge for supplies, find food and water, and avoid hostile players while uncovering the remnants of civilization. The game is notoriously difficult due to its harsh mechanics and the constant threat of death. Players start with minimal equipment, requiring them to explore the vast open world to find weapons, medical supplies, and food. Hunger and thirst must be managed carefully, as neglecting these needs can lead to death. Additionally, the permadeath feature means that if you die, you lose all your hard-earned gear, which adds to the game's tension. Moreover, the unpredictable behavior of other players can turn allies into enemies instantly, making every encounter a potentially life-or-death situation. This combination of environmental hazards, scarce resources, and the ever-present threat from both zombies and other players creates an intense and challenging survival experience that tests your wits and instincts. Rust is a multiplayer survival game set in a harsh open-world environment where players must scavenge for resources, build shelters, and fend off both wildlife and other players. The game begins with players spawning with nothing but a rock and a torch, forcing them to gather materials like wood and stone to craft tools and weapons. As you progress, the main objective is to survive against hunger, thirst, and the constant threat of being attacked by other players or wild animals. The difficulty of Rust lies in its brutal PvP mechanics and unforgiving environment. Players can raid each other's bases, leading to a constant fear of losing everything you've worked hard to build. Resources are scarce, and maintaining a secure base requires vigilance, because logging off doesn't mean safety, as your character remains vulnerable in the game world. The game's steep learning curve, combined with the toxic community and unpredictable encounters, makes survival a true challenge. Players often find themselves caught in a relentless cycle of crafting, defending, and scavenging, where one mistake can lead to a total loss. Rust is not just about survival, it's a test of patience, strategy, and resilience in the face of relentless challenges. Ark Survival Evolved is an open-world survival game that places players on a mysterious island full of prehistoric creatures. You wake up on Ark, which is a floating island filled with dinosaurs, strange plants, and dangerous terrain. The goal is to survive by gathering resources, crafting tools, building shelter, and taming the majestic beasts that roam the land. As you explore, you uncover the secrets of the Ark, including ancient technologies and the enigmatic beings that control it. What makes Ark particularly challenging is its blend of survival mechanics and the constant threat posed by the environment and other players. You must manage your hunger, thirst, and health while dealing with hostile creatures that can attack at any moment. Crafting and building require gathering various resources, which can be time-consuming and dangerous. Additionally, the game's PvP elements mean you're at risk from other players who might raid your base or kill you for your resources. The combination of fierce predators, resource scarcity, and the need for strategic planning makes Ark Survival Evolved a tough yet rewarding experience for survival enthusiasts. Don't Starve is a darkly whimsical survival game where players take on the role of Wilson, an unfortunate scientist who is transported to a mysterious and hostile world. The goal is simple: survive as long as possible. Players must gather resources, craft tools, and build shelters while navigating a beautifully hand-drawn, procedurally generated landscape filled with strange creatures, perilous environments, and dangerous plants. The game's difficulty lies in its unforgiving mechanics and the constant pressure to manage hunger, sanity, and health. Players must find food regularly to avoid starvation, but many food sources come with risks, such as poisonous mushrooms or aggressive monsters. As night falls, the world becomes increasingly dangerous, with terrifying creatures emerging to hunt Wilson. Moreover, the game encourages exploration, but punishes players for mistakes, making every decision critical. With permadeath as a core mechanic, dying means losing all progress, adding an intense layer of challenge. The combination of resource management, strategic planning, and the ever-present threat of danger makes Don't Starve a truly hard survival experience. Project Zomboid is a zombie survival game set in the post-apocalyptic town of Muldrow, Kentucky. You play as a customizable character trying to survive in a world overrun by the undead. The game's story revolves around the struggle for survival in a town plagued by a zombie outbreak, where you must scavenge for supplies, build fortifications, and manage your character's health and sanity. What makes Project Zomboid particularly hard is its deep and complex survival mechanics. Players must balance hunger, thirst, and health while dealing with the constant threat of zombies and other environmental dangers. The game features a day-night cycle, with zombies becoming more aggressive at night, forcing players to strategize their movements. Additionally, the permadeath mechanic makes every decision crucial. The intricate systems for crafting, building, and managing your character's physical and mental state create a challenging experience that requires careful planning and quick thinking to survive. Green Hell is a survival game set in the unforgiving Amazon rainforest, where players assume the role of a stranded anthropologist named Jake Higgins. After a tragic incident during an expedition, Jake must navigate the dense jungle to survive, searching for his missing wife while facing the harsh realities of the environment. As he explores, players uncover the story through Jake's memories and encounters with the indigenous tribes, immersing them in a gripping narrative filled with emotional stakes. What makes Green Hell particularly challenging is its emphasis on realism. Players must manage their physical and mental health, battling against hunger, thirst, fatigue, and diseases caused by environmental hazards. The dynamic ecosystem includes dangerous wildlife like snakes and jaguars, adding constant threats. Crafting tools and building shelters requires gathering resources while contending with the elements such as rain and temperature fluctuations. The game's intricate survival mechanics and the psychological toll of isolation ensure that every decision counts, making Green Hell a relentless test of survival skills and strategy. The Forest is a survival horror game that plunges players into a harrowing experience after surviving a plane crash on a remote, mysterious island. As the lone survivor, you must search for your missing son while navigating a treacherous environment filled with deadly creatures, including cannibalistic mutants. The game's story unfolds through exploration as you uncover the island's dark secrets and encounter various challenges. The difficulty of The Forest lies in its relentless survival mechanics. Players must gather resources to build shelters, craft weapons, and find food to sustain themselves. The ever-present threat of hostile creatures forces you to stay alert and adapt your strategies. Nights bring heightened dangers as the mutants become more aggressive, compelling players to either fortify their base or brave the darkness to scavenge supplies. The combination of resource management, exploration, and combat creates a tense atmosphere, making every decision critical to survival. The immersive world and challenging gameplay make The Forest a truly demanding survival experience. SCUM is a brutal online multiplayer survival game set in a dystopian world where players are imprisoned on a remote island, forced to participate in a deadly reality show. In this harsh environment, players control convicts who must fight for survival while competing for fame and freedom. The game features a rich backstory centered around corporate exploitation and human survival, as players navigate the island filled with dangers such as hostile wildlife, rival players, and environmental hazards. What makes SCUM particularly challenging is its complex survival mechanics. The game boasts a detailed nutrition system that tracks 23 different metrics, including vitamins, minerals, and macronutrients. Players must manage their character's physical health meticulously, balancing their calorie intake and maintaining hydration. Additionally, elements like realistic gun mechanics, weather effects, and the need for stealth add layers of difficulty. With permadeath and the loss of gear upon death, every decision carries significant weight, making SCUM a relentless test of strategy and resource management. 7 Days to Die is a post-apocalyptic survival horror game set in a world overrun by zombies. Players find themselves in a devastated environment, having to scavenge for resources, craft tools, and build fortified bases to survive the relentless zombie hordes. The game's narrative revolves around the collapse of civilization due to a zombie outbreak caused by a virus, and players must navigate this harsh landscape to uncover the story of the world's downfall. What makes 7 Days to Die particularly challenging is its blend of survival, crafting, and tower defense mechanics. Players must manage their hunger, thirst, and health while gathering materials to build defenses. Every 7th night, which is a massive horde of zombie attacks, forcing players to be well prepared. The game's permadeath feature adds to the pressure, as death can mean losing significant progress. Additionally, with a vast open world filled with various dangers, ranging from zombies to hostile wildlife, players must constantly be on guard and strategic in their survival tactics, making every decision crucial to staying alive. Subnautica is an open-world survival game set in the vast ocean of an alien planet called 4546b. Players take on the role of Riley Robinson, who is the sole survivor of a spaceship crash and must explore the underwater world to find a way to escape. As Riley, you gather resources, craft tools, and build underwater bases while unraveling the mysteries of the planet, including remnants of a once-thriving alien civilization and the dangers that lurk beneath the waves. The game is challenging for several reasons. First, players must manage their oxygen supply while exploring deep waters filled with hostile creatures. The vast open environment can feel overwhelming, with different biomes presenting unique hazards. Resource scarcity adds another layer of difficulty, as players must strategically gather food, water, and materials to survive. Additionally, the game's sense of isolation and atmospheric tension creates a constant sense of dread, making every dive into the unknown a nerve-wracking experience. This combination of resource management, exploration, and environmental threats makes Subnautica a uniquely challenging survival game. Darkwood is a top-down survival horror game that immerses players in a grim, atmospheric forest filled with secrets and dangers. Set in a mysterious Eastern European landscape, players control a nameless protagonist who wakes up in a strange house surrounded by dark woods teeming with supernatural threats. As night falls, players must scavenge for supplies and craft items and fortify their hideouts to survive against grotesque creatures that emerge from the shadows. The game's eerie soundtrack and unsettling visuals enhance the sense of dread, making every moment tense. What makes Darkwood particularly hard is its punishing gameplay mechanics. Players have limited resources and must manage hunger, sanity, and health while navigating the perilous environment. The game features permadeath, meaning that if you die, you lose your progress, heightening the stakes. Additionally, the procedurally generated world means that each playthrough presents new challenges, forcing players to adapt their strategies constantly. The combination of survival mechanics, atmospheric tension, and unpredictable threats makes Darkwood a truly challenging and unforgettable experience. This War of Mine is a survival game set in a war-torn city where you play as a group of civilians trying to survive the harsh realities of conflict. The game's story revolves around the daily struggles of these characters as they scavenge for supplies, manage their resources, and make difficult moral decisions. Unlike traditional war games, you experience the impact of war on innocent lives, emphasizing the emotional toll of survival. The difficulty of this war of mine lies in its relentless challenges and tough choices. Players must constantly balance the needs of their group, including hunger, illness, and mental health. Scavenging for food and medicine becomes perilous, as the risk of encountering hostile soldiers and other survivors is ever present. The game also forces players to confront moral dilemmas, such as whether to steal from others or help fellow civilians. This unique blend of survival mechanics and emotional storytelling makes this war of mine a gripping and harrowing experience that challenges both your strategic skills and your ethics. Outward is an open-world RPG that places players in the role of a humble adventurer trying to survive in a harsh, unforgiving world. The story begins as you set out from the small town of Cierzo, seeking to make a name for yourself while battling the elements, wildlife, and other dangers. Unlike typical RPGs, your character is not a hero with innate powers. Instead, you are a mortal facing the harsh realities of life, including managing hunger, thirst, and fatigue. What makes Outward particularly challenging is its emphasis on realism. Players must learn to navigate a vast world filled with various factions and threats while managing their health and resources meticulously. Combat requires strategic planning and skill, as even a single misstep can lead to devastating consequences. Additionally, dying in Outward can result in losing important items, and your character can suffer from ailments like frostbite or poisoning. The combination of survival mechanics and the necessity for careful exploration makes Outward a truly demanding experience for players. Stranded Deep is a survival game that immerses players in the treacherous environment of the Pacific Ocean after a plane crash. You assume the role of a survivor who washes ashore on a deserted island where you must navigate the challenges of survival while searching for a way to escape. The game begins with a catastrophic plane crash, leaving you stranded with only a few supplies. The difficulty of Stranded Deep arises from its unforgiving mechanics. Players must manage hunger, thirst, and health while scavenging resources to build shelter, craft tools, and hunt for food. The dynamic weather system and day-night cycle add layers of challenge as storms can quickly turn deadly. Additionally, the vast ocean is home to dangerous sharks and other creatures, making swimming a risky endeavor. Navigating between islands requires careful planning and resource management. The combination of survival mechanics, hostile wildlife, and environmental hazards creates a gripping experience that tests players' resourcefulness and resilience in a harsh, unforgiving world. And there you have it, one of the best survival games that will push you to the edge and test your endurance. If you think you're up for the challenge, give them a try and see if you can survive. Don't forget to share your toughest experiences in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and turn on notifications to stay updated. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.